Sparks, a podcast where we listen to a Dharma talk, contemplate with our minds and in our hearts, and engage in guided meditation. In this episode, we'll be examining impermanence. Every episode of PRAJNA SPARKS takes hours to plan, record, and edit. We ask that you give us some time today to subscribe and review our podcast. Alongside your own practice, this is the best possible offering, as it helps the Dharma reach new listeners.
Everything is impermanent, the world and all it contains. Moreover, the life of beings is as delicate as a water bubble. Death is certain, its time uncertain, and at that point, one is but a corpse. Dharma alone will be of help. Thus I shall practice vigorously. This is but one statement of the contemplation on death and impermanence. It's a very brief one, and it actually contains several parts within it. But the important point on the contemplation of death and impermanence is its waves of subtlety, and together with that, the discomfort that we may experience as we wade into these increasingly subtle, perhaps unnerving layers. The contemplation begins with what could be called external impermanence, the impermanence of the world, the universe, and all its contents. We can consider perhaps seasonal impermanence, how spring turns to summer and then to autumn and then to winter, how day goes into night, into day again, continually, in the cyclical process of impermanence in nature. We can expand that and consider the impermanence of the universe under any of the various theories that are currently propounded to try to give us a glimpse of what may have happened to lead to this universe, this sense of a big bang, expansion and contraction, and so forth. We can see in astronomy incredible scale of impermanence, magnificent stars that implode into black holes, light that travels incomprehensible distances in minutes or hours, not to mention years. And then there's minutes, hours, and years themselves. Impermanence works in a current of time. It is one of the most basic principles of apparent reality, the world in which we live, the movement of time, and the continual flux that accompanies time as things change. Often we may think of impermanence as the endpoint, when a vase shatters upon hitting the floor, or a beloved pet dies, or our job, relationship, or health abruptly comes to an unexpected ending. But impermanence is happening all along. We know that that vase that looks to be the same vase that was there yesterday is constantly changing. The molecules are shifting, it's aging, just as we are, moment to moment. So impermanence on this level is a rather grand scale of impermanence. It's cosmic, you might say. And it can actually bring a great deal of awe or wonder. But when we start to look at impermanence in, let's call it a median way, the changes that lead to abrupt, unpleasant shifts, such as an endpoint or perhaps the beginning of something that we do not like, such as a very serious illness in ourselves or others or what have you. This narrower scope of impermanence is starting to edge up against the big question that many of us strive to overlook: our own mortality. Our life has been dwindling away moment by moment since the beginning of this life, that point in time that we label birth. From a Buddhist perspective, impermanence is actually a wonderful thing. The fact that things change for better or for worse means that we are not stagnant. We are not stuck. We have the possibility to grow and become awakened, expressing our true nature. Yet at the same time, there is this vulnerable part of impermanence, particularly when it comes to our own mortality. Here too, it's not about an endpoint. Our life is delicate as a water bubble, the text says, which means that we're kind of always surfing on our mortality. Every time we get in a car or on a plane or just walk down the street, we are amidst a current of possible causes of the end of this life. Mortality means susceptibility to death, the label we apply to the end of the continuum of what we recognize as a single life. The experiences mediated through a single body, in our case, a human one. We all know that we are certain to die, and that the time of that death is uncertain, that when that time comes, we will be but a corpse. But how much do we live out of that experience? And what would that even look like? Living out of a sincere, delicate, and vulnerable sense of our mortality, of the impermanence of everything around us, actually makes us more alive to the reality of life. The point of this contemplation is not to engender fear or cause us to go into a cocoon. It's to encourage us to come face to face with reality out of wisdom and compassion, holding ourselves and others in gentleness. For example, whoever it was that you just had an argument with, or who really gets under your skin, how would you interact with them differently if you knew that was the last time you would see them? Maybe it wouldn't make you like them or enjoy their company, but perhaps it will make you kinder, gentler. How about yourself? If you knew that you had a week left to live, or a month or a year, we hear many stories of how this actually makes people more alive to all that life has to offer, makes us more appreciative. We're likely to take advantage of the many privileges of our life. This is true for anyone, and it is valuable for anyone, which is why so many spiritual traditions stress the importance of recognizing our own mortality. In the context of Buddha Dharma, we recognize that one of the most essential privileges that makes this life priceless is our access to the Dharma, our ability to engage the teachings, to listen, to contemplate, to meditate, and to bring them into our experience, progressively embodying the Dharma as time goes on, and enriching this mind stream with the riches of Dharma. The contemplation of death and impermanence in the form of our mortality, from that perspective, is meant to sharpen our urgency. It rounds out the contemplation on the priceless human existence that we looked at last time. The priceless human existence alone can make us kind of swell-headed, a little bit arrogant, looking down on everybody else. Certainly that's not what it's about. And the contemplation on mortality is much more sobering. It brings us down to earth and says, you've got these beautiful tools, these beautiful jewels of Dharma, and you don't know how long they will be at your disposal. How do you want to optimize the time you have left with respect to the Dharma? This is not just about sitting on your meditation cushion for hours on end until you die. It's about incorporating the Dharma into all aspects of our life. This is very much what the Mahamudra and Vajrayana approaches to Buddhist practice are about. 24/7, 365 practice in some way, shape, or form. This is what it means in the text when it says, I shall practice vigorously. We give ourselves to the Dharma. And it is something we do with joy, with enthusiasm, and with hope. Because having contemplated our mortality, having confronted our reality, we are able to take advantage of this life, the relationships and joys we have, and even the bittersweet sorrows, recognizing that these and all our Dharma practice makes us more prepared for this critical time that we call death, a label placed on the very same continuum of mind that will continue forward with all of the riches that the Dharma has embedded within it for the next awakening of that mind to take shape in whatever way we will continue forth to embody our true nature, our Buddhahood, for our own sake and the sake of all beings.
For the seeds of contemplation that we can take into our days to work with this examination of impermanence, it can be so helpful to start to examine our own relationship to impermanence, how we think about it. Often we think of impermanence as an abrupt end, and that's it. Usually those abrupt ends of things, people, relationships, and so forth take us by surprise. They feel jolting, not something we particularly like. Today's seeds of contemplation are about shifting our perspective on impermanence, starting to make friends with the reality that we are in. So for the first seed of contemplation, start to examine impermanence as flow in your own life. Recognize as best as you can the changing quality of things, of how everything is continually in flux. And perhaps take special account of how this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Start to pay attention to all those parts of your days and your life that are enriched, made possible by change. The little change and movement that allows you to pick up your cup of tea or coffee, the sipping of it. Another seed of contemplation is to reflect on how all aspects of experiencing are actually impermanent. That the very experience of experiencing is only possible through impermanence. As we are enjoying, that very enjoyment is the ending in each moment of the thing we are enjoying. If it were any other way, we would be stuck. We would not be able to engage with the experience because it would be fixed, a fixed thing that did not change. Isn't that interesting? How enjoying is actually being right smack dab in the experience of impermanence. If this feels useful to you, start to see it in your day. Start to see it right now, even as you listen to this. The very hearing of these words is a continual arising and ceasing, and that is impermanence. This is Zopa and Yeshe for PRAJNA SPARKS. Be sure to join us every month on the new and full moons for fresh episodes. Stay tuned now for a guided meditation. Shivnee is our Tibetan singing bowl artist. Thanks for the generosity of giving us some time out of your day to like, subscribe, share, and review PRAJNA SPARKS. It really does help us to spread the gift of Dharma to new listeners. If you have any questions, contact us via email, Instagram, or Facebook. Check the episode notes for those links and for more resources on today's topic. Visit us on the web at prajnafire.com or follow us on Instagram and Facebook at PRAJNA SPARKS. Thank you for listening. May all beings benefit. Hello, friends, and welcome to the meditation on impermanence. To begin with, as we usually do, let's start by taking our seats and grounding in our posture. Just take a few moments to do this. Now let's settle our mind into one pointed, easeful yet alert attention through the practice of shamatha, tranquility meditation. Take the breath or whatever meditation object feels appropriate to you in this moment in time. In this state of clear, settled, yet alert attention, turn your mind towards impermanence, and in particular, the fact of your own mortality. As the traditional mudra or preliminary practice of the Mahamudra lineage words this contemplation, everything is impermanent, the world and all it contains. Moreover, the life of beings is fragile as a water bubble. The time of death is uncertain, and at that time I'll be but a corpse. Only Dharma can help me then, so I must practice with diligence. As we start to turn our attention to our mortality, the looming fact of our death, approaching closer and closer, moment by moment, day by day, it's so crucial that we understand and are very clear on the point of doing this meditation. Contemplating our death is not aimed at increasing our attachment to things that are impossible to hold on to, like our life, our friends, our good position, our wealth, and so forth. Rather, we engage in this meditation in order to empower ourselves, in order to recognize the uniqueness and potential of this life that we have right here in this very moment. So as you settle into this meditation, check your own intention, your own understanding of what it is that you're cultivating through meditating on impermanence. The meditation on impermanence is aimed at inspiring us to seize and take hold of this great opportunity right now, while we have all this freedom and the recognition of this on-flowing journey that's going to take us to places we can't imagine or anticipate. What is going to be the best way for us to prepare? So settle in. Start to feel into that sense that we are going to die, that death is approaching. There's no way to pause, to cease. Every moment, we are one moment closer. So what to do? As all of the Buddha's teachings point out, the most significant thing we can do is tame our minds and empower our hearts to see clearly with wisdom and compassion, to live boldly and bravely in this unique vulnerability. Spend a few minutes here just sitting with your impending death and with what makes true sense in the face of it. Anytime you get some clarity, perhaps a sense of dropping in to something very sobering, just rest one-pointedly in that experience. When that experience fades, again return to the contemplation, to the analyzing, to recognizing death is coming closer and closer. Look at all this amazing abundance and capacity that I have right now. What's the best way to make use of it? Thank you, friends, for your brave practice and all that you do, all that you are. Please join me now in sharing whatever goodness has come from this meditation with ourselves and all beings, that we may seize the opportunity of this present moment, of this precious life, to do something that has meaningful, lasting impact for the good of ourselves and others. Thank you.